Informal advisor to the Trump campaign and author of a fantastic new book called JFK and the Reagan Revolution, A Secret History of American Prosperity. The great Larry Kudlow joins us now. Larry, it's great to see you this morning.
Thank you, Tucker.
So Trump articulated something that a lot of people suspect, which is that none of this is real, and that our Fed policy has made a small number of people very, very rich. Everyone has a plane now, but it hasn't actually done much for the fundamentals of the economy. Is that true?
I think it's partially true. I'm not sure it's totally true. And I say that as a guy who's helped out Mr. Trump, and I think he knows a lot about business. But don't forget a couple things here. The Fed has been loose, rates have been low, and they didn't fix that a couple years ago, and they had a chance to. So to that extent, I agree with Donald Trump. On the other hand, American business is pretty good when you leave it alone. Now, we haven't left it alone enough, but there have been a lot of profits from American companies. They've managed to recover. A lot of the stock market increase is based on profits, which is the best way to do it. At this juncture, though, it's getting trickier and trickier. And look, maybe the overall statement ought to be not just that it's a bad economy. It's a soft economy, stagnant, in a rut, 2% growth for 7.5 years. And actually, go back to 2000, 1.7 growth for 15 years. That's awful. That's not American. So I think Mr. Trump has it right, but give business some credit for getting out.
I would. Some people have gotten very rich under 2% growth, though. It's interesting. So you've written a fantastic new book with a confusing, I think, thesis for a lot of people. JFK and the Reagan Revolution. What would JFK, a Democratic president, have to do with Ronald Reagan?
JFK, who faced a bad economy from the Eisenhower years, like now, bad economy, was the first supply-side tax cutter. This has been written out of Democratic Party history.
I haven't heard that mentioned.
They don't even mention it. They've just zeroed them out like the old Soviet Union when you didn't exist, okay? Kennedy came in. He had a bunch of Republicans in his cabinet. A sub-hero, Douglas Dillon, who was a Wall Street banker. Eisenhower, Undersecretary of State. Let's cut marginal tax rates to provide incentives to work and invest across the board. The liberal academic advisor said don't do it. Kennedy listened to Dillon. They lowered the tax rate on upper, middle, lower corporations, capital gains, everything. Kennedy became a very articulate proponent of this, and the economy grew by about 5% per year for the next 7 or 8 years until LBJ and Richard Nixon and Jerry Ford and Jimmy Carter screwed it up. Kennedy was the first supply. He was the pioneer. 20 years later, Reagan comes in. High inflation, terrible growth. He and his advisors, including Jack Kemp, by the way, and some other well-known, let's duplicate the Kennedy tax cuts. He had it right. We can do the same thing, okay? So, Republican Reagan borrowed from Democratic JFK, right? Instituted them in 1981 and again in 1986. What happened? The American economy boomed for about 2 decades. 2 key points here. That's all I'm saying. Here's what Kennedy did. Lower tax rates at the margin for incentives. Keep the dollar strong and stable. I call it King Dollar. You do that again, we will be off to the races in this country. We will grow at 5% for a whole bunch of years. Unfortunately, Mr. Obama didn't do it. He was a big government spender. Mrs. Clinton is out there completely forgetting JFK. Mrs. Clinton is, let's raise taxes on everybody. Rich people, that's, she's going to go right after you. Corporations, capital gains, financial trading, they're awful. We need redistribution, not growth. Kennedy was a growth guy.
Larry Kudlow.
That was my point, growth.
The hidden history of JFK and the Reagan Revolution. It's great to see you this morning.
JFK to Reagan, we need to repeat that.
Amen.